Welcome to my 11 o'clock second wind. I seem super far down here, but that's because you are super high up there, and I am trying to reorganize my bookshelves. I have a rough sketch of where I want things to go, so this may change slightly, but overall you'll get the idea of where I'm trying to put things and how I have it envisioned in my mind. So I hope that made sense. I hope it's done well, and I will meet up with you after a really quick montage and some explaining. Okay, so obviously this is my Harry Potter stuff, and it is mishmashed with my Arthurian legend books, which are overflowing in that area. Then we have our manga, Japanese graphic novels, and the Lord of the Rings, which obviously don't really match up, and it looks atrocious. Going down, we have classics, randomly the entire Shadowhunter series in UK paperback, and then my entire mess of a TBR shelf. Going over, this is my fantasy books along with Tamara Pierce books and two random Maggie Stiefvater books. Then we have my favorite shelf, which does not hold all of my favorites, my graphic novels and sci-fi, not all of my sci-fi. Going into my fantasy books, which are pretty mishmashed together as well. More fantasy books leading into magical realism and then thrillers, which leads into more thrillers and then my contemporary books and the rest of my sci-fi and dystopian novels that don't fit on the sci-fi and dystopian novel shelf. And then we randomly have Ninth House. This bookshelf is pretty much just comprised of all of my partner's books and some Game of Thrones books. I don't even know what the shelf is supposed to be. It's mostly just sad and has sad little bookish knickknacks. And then as soon as my little sister is done showing you her Full Metal Alchemist shirt, we can get on to my actual shelves. So this is them in their entirety. My entire setup, including my green screen, my Snorlax, which I am in love with. You can also see some of my Game of Thrones books up on top of my shelf, as well as my magic books, which will not be moving because I don't have another place for them. So my organizational strategy is pretty much this. I need a place for my manga, fantasy, my old favorites that I still love, Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, sci-fi, graphic novels, magical realism and suspense, contemporary, my Arthurian legend books, my current favorites, which currently need 2 shelves at least, Tamara Pierce books, which, yeah, it really does need an entire shelf of its own, my info dumpy books, which pretty much essentially means all of my informational books that I still use, my TBR shelf is pretty much going to stay the same, my magic shelf is also going to stay the same, and if I have room, I'd like to add an altar. And now that we have that basic outline, I can go ahead and get started and we can montage it up. What you see here is my entire bookshelf collapsing in on itself. I don't know if it's unfortunate or fortunate that I didn't get it on film, but it absolutely terrified me and is going to take some time to put back together. So I have finally come to a stopping point for, I want to say now, but I believe I'm done. You obviously got to see a little bit of me reshuffling them. I'm sorry I didn't get a lot of footage. In fact, I'm expecting this video to be incredibly short, but consider this a preview or trailer to a bookshelf tour. I need to do a bookshelf tour because the last bookshelf tour I did was a long time ago and a lot of things have been updated. I'd like to do just an overall debrief on what is on my shelves because it's quite drastically changed since my last one. I like the idea of keeping a record of these things so that when I look at my old bookshelf tour and then I look at this one, I can see how many books I've read and so on and so forth. So I hope you enjoyed this hopefully short video. I can't imagine it took too long. I mean, it took a really long time, but for the video portion, I'm hoping it's pretty short. This little area right here was a complete and total doozy. I had to re-hammer in. It looked like they were nailed in bookshelves because they're like built in. I ended up not using either of these two shelves as an altar, as this is the one that ended up falling, so I put the least amount on this one. It's funny because this ended up being my info dump shelf and the info did dump directly on the ground. That's me trying to have a sense of humor with the fact that it set me back about an hour and yeah, it was not fun. So I put my info dump up there on the stronger shelf. But again, I will get into everything on my shelves in greater detail. I think it'll have to be my next video because I can see myself losing steam and never trying to go through these again. So for tonight, I'm going to sleep, wake up, edit this video, probably drop it, and then I will work on my bookshelf tour. I did film part of my December wrap up and then I realized there's way too much of December left over and I'm reading Children of Virtue and Vengeance. I didn't want to miss out on that, and I think I can finish it by the end of December. What day is it? It's not the 1st yet, so there's time for me yet, and I'm gonna go ahead and go to sleep. I hope you are enjoying the sun or more stars wherever you are, and until next time, bye! There's no bloopers because I left all my footage in, but here's my cat laying on my dirty laundry, and my other cat, Belle, just chilling, so you get that for staying. Sorry!